You ever been in a moment where everything you thought was meant for you just disappears? You trained for it. You prayed over it. You believed with everything in you that this was it. And then, slam, the door shuts. They pick somebody else. You don't get the call back. You don't get the job, the spot, the yes, the breakthrough, and nothing. And right there, the voice in your head starts whispering, you failed. You messed up. You weren't good enough. Let me tell you right now, that voice is a liar. That was not failure, that was not rejection, that was redirection. You see, sometimes what feels like rejection is God rerouting you to something far beyond what you even asked for. You're out here crying over a door that closed, and heaven is preparing a whole building with your name on it. But we don't see that when we're in it, do we? Because the pain feels so personal. Rejection cuts deep. And if you're not careful, it doesn't just hit your situation, it hits your identity. But hear me, just because they didn't choose you doesn't mean you weren't chosen. Sometimes you gotta thank God for the doors that didn't open. Because what you thought was a missed opportunity was actually divine protection. I remember a time I was passed over for something I knew I was ready for. I mean, I showed up early, stayed late, gave it my all, and still nothing. And I was bitter, angry, confused, but what I didn't know then is that if I had gotten that yes, I would have settled. Settled into comfort, settled into compromise, settled for less than what was meant for me, so that rejection. That was mercy, and it's the same for you. You think that relationship falling apart was failure. No, that was freedom in disguise. You think that business not launching was a mistake. No, that was foundation being poured. You think being overlooked was the enemy stopping you. No, that was elevation being timed just right. Sometimes God will withhold what you want to protect what you need. Sometimes he'll let you be denied, so you don't delay your destiny. Because if you had gotten everything you wanted exactly when you asked for it, you wouldn't have grown into the person who could handle it. Let me say it straight, you are not being buried, you are being planted. There's a difference. See, when you're buried, it's over. When you're planted, something's about to grow, and growth, it happens in the dark, in the dirt, in the quiet spaces where nobody's clapping for you. Nobody's calling your name, nobody's validating your worth. That's where your roots get strong, that's where your purpose starts stretching, and that's where redirection begins. So if you're in a season right now where everything looks backwards, where people you thought would ride with you walked away, where the yes you needed turned into another not yet. Don't fold, don't quit, don't curse the process. You're not off course, you're not being punished, you're just being moved. Because where you thought you were going, that was just the starting line. But where you're headed, that's purpose territory, that's legacy ground, and let me tell you something. Purpose ain't always pretty. It doesn't always come dressed in comfort. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it sounds like no. Sometimes it feels like you got forgotten in the waiting room. But the waiting room is where God does his best work. That's where identity is solidified. That's where your character gets cleaned up. That's where the weight of what you're about to carry gets introduced. And when it's time, when the door opens that's actually yours, you'll look back and say, thank God that didn't work out. Because now you're not chasing opportunity, opportunity is chasing you. You're not begging for acceptance, you know who you are. You're not afraid of the process, you understand its power, so let the doors close, let the seasons shift. Let the people leave, let the no's pile up, because you only need one yes. And it'll be the right one at the right time for the right you. And when it comes, you'll be ready. Why? Because this wasn't failure, this was preparation. You know what's funny about setbacks? They never come at the right time. They don't wait for you to be ready. They don't show up politely. They crash in uninvited. And the first thing they try to do is make you forget what you said you were built for. That dream, that goal, that prayer you whispered when no one else was around, the moment the setback hits, you start questioning all of it. You thought you'd be further by now. You thought you had it figured out. You thought things were finally lining up. And then out of nowhere, boom, life hits you with a plot twist. Finances fall through, plans break apart. You lose what you thought you couldn't live without, but listen to me, that setback you're trying to survive. That's the exact place where the blueprint is being drawn. See, everybody wants the dream, but nobody wants the delay. Everybody wants the victory, but nobody wants the valley. But the truth is, the valley isn't in your way, the valley is the way. It's where the foundation gets laid. It's where the structure of your faith gets tested. It's where you stop performing and you start becoming. You don't learn to fight in the spotlight, you learn in the dark. You learn when everything falls apart and you don't fold. You learn when you keep showing up even though it looks like nothing is working. You learn when you feel like you're building something out of ashes, and yet something in your spirit won't let you quit. That's blueprint energy. You think the setback is a sign you failed. No. It's the architect stepping in to make sure the structure of your life can hold what you've been praying for. Because you can't carry a calling on a shaky foundation. You can't run a marathon with a fractured frame. So sometimes the delay is mercy. Sometimes the mess is making room. Sometimes the tear down is just preparation for the rebuild. And listen, you don't get to choose when the blueprint gets redrawn. You just have to trust that the builder knows what he's doing. Think about it. Some of you right now are living in a structure that pain helped you design. You learn to forgive because someone betrayed you. You learn to trust God because money ran out. You learn discipline because you had to start over from scratch. That was blueprint. That was divine construction, and it hurt, I know. But that's what makes it real. That's what makes it last. Because see, buildings that go up fast, they look good, but they don't always stand the storm. But buildings that go deep, foundations that were dug with time, sweat, and pain, those last. So, if it feels like you're stuck right now, if it feels like every time you try to move forward, something pulls you back, if it feels like you're walking through the same test again and again, it's not failure, it's blueprint work, it's deep unseen construction. The delay doesn't mean you're off track, it means you're in design mode. You're being customized for something weighty, and weight always requires structure. Don't despise the chapter that feels like nothing's moving. That's the part where your endurance is being built. That's the part where your character is getting tested. That's the part where the foundation is being set in stone. And when that blueprint finally comes together, when that structure finally rises, when that vision finally manifests, you won't just have something that looks good on the outside. You'll have something that's anchored, something that can't be shaken, something that's been through the fire and came out fortified. That's what the setback was for. It wasn't to stop you. It wasn't to shame you. It wasn't to break you. It was to build you. So don't run from the setback. Don't curse it. Don't panic when it shows up again, because it will. Instead, look it in the eye and say, I see what this is now. You're not here to destroy me. You're here to design me. Because this, every delay, every detour, every disappointment, this is not failure. This is preparation. You ever notice how pressure always shows up right before something shifts? Like you were fine yesterday, but now it feels like the weight of the world is sitting on your chest. Your mind is loud, your spirit is tired, your back's against the wall, everything's tight. Time, money, peace, even your faith feels like it's on fumes. But here's what I've learned. Pressure don't come to people who are empty. It shows up when something valuable is inside. Pressure is not punishment, it's proof that what's inside you is worth testing. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Steel doesn't strengthen without fire, and purpose doesn't rise without being pushed. So yeah, it's heavy right now. But that heaviness, that's preparation. Because your purpose ain't light, your calling ain't casual. What you've been built to carry, what you've been born to shift, it's gonna take more than comfort to get you there. See, comfort builds habits, but pressure builds character. Comfort makes you efficient, but pressure makes you effective. Anybody can operate when it's easy. Anybody can smile when the bank account is full, the phone is ringing, and the doors are flying open. But purpose doesn't come from that. Purpose is born in the breaking. It's birthed in the moments you wanted to give up but didn't. It's shaped in the silence when nobody claps for you, but you keep clapping for yourself. There's something sacred about pressure. Because pressure teaches you who you are when the applause stops, when you ain't getting results, when the dream feels further than it did last year. Pressure shows you whether your faith was hype or if it was real. And I get it, it's uncomfortable. It's unfair. You look around and wonder why they seem to be breezing through life, and you're fighting for every inch. But let me tell you this, not everybody's called to shake the room, not everybody's built to lead, not everybody's carrying what you're carrying. So the pressure isn't proof that something's wrong. The pressure is a sign that something's coming. That you're getting closer, that you're stretching into the shape of your calling. You don't stretch things that are staying where they are. You stretch what's going further, and that stretch, it hurts, but that stretch is holy. It's in the stretch where your mindset shifts, where your capacity expands, where your heart gets purified and your focus gets razor sharp. Because before you step into what's next, the pressure makes sure you don't bring old thinking into a new season. Before the platform, pressure removes the pride. Before the blessing, pressure reveals what you worship. And let me talk to the one who's under it right now, who feels like it's all pressing down at the same time. Responsibilities, expectations, grief, fear, silence from heaven, and doubt from yourself. I need you to hear me. You're not under pressure because you're failing. You're under pressure because something in you is forming. Purpose is being formed in you. Strength is being activated in you. Clarity is being forced out of you. You're not losing your mind. You're just losing the version of yourself that can't carry what's next. You're not falling apart. You're being peeled to your core, so the real you can finally stand up. This is not the moment to quit. This is not the season to run. This is the season to breathe through it, to endure it, to grow through it. Because once the pressure lifts, and it will, you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive. You didn't just get through. You were changed. You came out stronger, wiser, quieter, but more dangerous. Because now you know who you are. Now you know you can take the hit and keep moving. Now you know pressure doesn't break you, it reveals you. So don't curse this pressure. Don't pray it away too quickly. Let it teach you. Let it shape you. Let it prepare you. Because this right here, this pressure you're feeling, this is not failure. This is preparation. Let's talk about delay. Because I know some of you are stuck in that waiting place right now. You've done the work. You've prayed. You've sacrificed. You've obeyed. But everything still feels paused. Like the needle won't move. Like heaven's gone quiet. Like everybody around you is walking into their breakthrough, and you're still sitting in the hallway waiting for a door to even unlock. And it gets frustrating, doesn't it? You start wondering, did I miss something? Did I mess this up? Is this dream even real anymore? You look at the clock. You look at your age. You look at the calendar. And then that voice creeps in and starts whispering, "It's too late for you." But I came to tell you something loud and clear. Delay does not mean denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to. God's not late. Your life is not off schedule. You are not behind. You are becoming. See, we've been conditioned to think that if something takes too long, it must not be for us. But what if the delay isn't about the thing? What if the delay is about you being shaped to carry it? There's a version of you that can wish for the blessing, but there's another version of you that can sustain it. And in between those two versions is delay, because God doesn't just want to give you the dream, He wants to make sure the dream doesn't destroy you once you get it. That business you're waiting to launch, that's not just about a product, that's about your integrity behind closed doors. That marriage you're waiting on, that's not just about love, that's about patience, sacrifice, self-control. That platform, that opportunity, that influence, it comes with weight, and the delay is preparing your hands to carry it with humility, not ego. The waiting is doing more for you than the winning ever could, because in the waiting, your roots go deeper. In the waiting, your discernment sharpens. In the waiting, you learn how to listen, not just react. And don't get it twisted, delay doesn't mean inactivity. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean you stop knocking. You don't sit back in defeat. You build while you wait. You prepare like it's coming. You train like it's yours. You work your gift like the opportunity's already on the way. Because it is. See, faith isn't passive. Faith is aggressive in the unseen. Faith says, I don't see it yet, but I'm already walking like it's done. That's the kind of faith that makes delay your ally, not your enemy. Let me tell you something, just because it's slow doesn't mean it's dead. Some of the greatest moves of God are slow cooked. It's not microwave miracles, it's crockpot calling, because anything that's going to last takes time to develop. We rush to success and then crash under the weight of it because we weren't processed first. We want the crown, but not the crushing. We want the platform, but not the patience. But you don't get one without the other. The delay is the gym. The delay is the classroom. The delay is the workshop where the best version of you gets crafted. And I know, some days it's lonely. Some days you feel like you're walking circles around the same wall. But that's not wasted movement. That's preparation lapse. You're being conditioned for consistency. You're being tested in the quiet, so you can stand in the crowd without losing your soul. Let the delay do its work. Let it refine you. Let it strip off the pride. Let it grow your gratitude. Let it build your endurance. And when the moment finally comes, when the thing you've been praying for meets the version of you who's finally ready for it, there will be no doubt that it was all worth the wait. Because you won't just have what you wanted, you'll become who you needed to be. So to anyone tired in the waiting, don't bow to the clock. Don't chase timelines. Don't compare your process to somebody else's highlight reel. Hold the line. Trust the pace, move in faith, because this delay you're in right now, this is not failure, this is preparation. Let me tell you something that'll set your soul free. You are not starting over. I know it feels like it. I know it looks like it. You're looking at the ashes of what once was, a relationship that collapsed, a dream that stalled out, a business that didn't take off, a plan that didn't go how you mapped it. You see the broken pieces and think, man, here I go again. Back to square one, back to scratch, back to building from nothing. But listen to me, you are not the same person who started this last time. You may be rebuilding, but you're not restarting. You're not who you were when you first walked into that storm. You've been through too much. You've seen too much. You've learned too much. You're not starting over, you're starting wiser. And that wisdom, that's the difference. That's the multiplier. That's the reason why this time it won't take as long. Why this time you won't ignore the red flags. Why this time you won't shrink to fit rooms too small for your calling. Wisdom is expensive. You pay for it with tears, with sleepless nights, with hard lessons and heavy silence. But once you've got it, once it's carved into your character, it never leaves you. You carry it into the next level. You walk differently because of it. You choose differently because of it. You don't chase applause anymore. You chase alignment, because wisdom teaches you what hype never could. It teaches you how to sit still, how to say no when your flesh is screaming yes, how to wait, how to endure, how to pivot. How to walk away when it no longer honors your calling and not feel guilty for it. See, sometimes life breaks what wasn't built right. Sometimes it lets it fall apart so you can rebuild from a better blueprint, and I know it stings. It hurts when something you gave your all to ends in a whisper, but that pain didn't come to punish you, it came to grow you. So don't curse the fall, don't resent the restart, don't look at your current chapter through the lens of shame. Look at it through the lens of strategy. You've been given another shot, and this time you're carrying experience. That's gold. This time you know what not to do. This time you see the signs early. This time you trust your gut faster. This time you don't just have vision, you've got tools. You've got scars that remind you of what you survived. You've got wisdom that was baptized in fire. You've got endurance that wasn't taught, it was earned. That's why starting wiser is more powerful than starting fresh, because starting fresh means innocence. Starting wiser means strategy. You're not walking into this new thing naive, you're walking in seasoned. Grounded, focused, you're not desperate anymore, you're deliberate, you know what's worth your energy and what's just noise. You know who to trust and who only clapped when it was convenient. That's why the restart doesn't scare you now. Because you realize you've already been through the worst part, you already got up when life knocked you flat. You already survived what should have taken you out. And now you get to rebuild with perspective. Now you get to move with clarity. Now you get to step into purpose with both eyes open. Don't you dare call this failure. Don't you dare shrink back like you're less because it didn't work the first time. Failure is when you stay down. But you got back up. You rose from the wreckage and made a decision to go again, to rise again. To trust again, to build again. That's not weakness. That's warrior mindset. That's a decision only the wise make. So whatever you're walking back into, walk in like a builder who's been through the blueprint and back. Walk in like someone who's not afraid of breaking, because you know how to rebuild. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the start of something better, something deeper, something more real than anything you've tried to create before. And the best part, you didn't lose the dream, you just found a better way to carry it, a smarter way, a wiser way. So don't call this your comeback, call this your confirmation that no matter what life took from you, this is not failure. This is preparation. It connects with the previous key points and flows naturally within the broader message. Let me tell you something that's going to shake off that defeat in your spirit. Every setback you've experienced was not the end. It was a setup. See, I know what it's like to feel like the rug got pulled out from under you. You were moving. You had momentum, and then boom, it hit you, the closed door, the loss, the delay, the betrayal, the thing you didn't see coming that left you standing there thinking, God, what just happened? And you felt it. You felt the sting, the confusion, the questions, the silence, and if you're not careful, that's the moment you start to believe the lie. The lie that says this is where it ends. The lie that says you must not be called. The lie that says maybe you just weren't good enough. But I need you to lean in and hear me right now. The setback was never sent to destroy you. It was sent to develop you. It's a setup, a divine interruption, a strategic reroute, because what you called a breakdown, God called a pivot. What looked like rejection was really redirection. That delay was not a denial. It was a divine pause so you wouldn't settle for what was easy when something greater was on the way. You ever think about how many people got stuck in bitterness because they didn't realize the setback was temporary? They built their identity around a moment that was meant to pass through, not stay. Don't do that. Don't make a monument out of a moment. Don't start living like the setback is your address, because here's the truth: you don't grow without friction. You don't rise without resistance, and purpose never unfolds in a straight line. There are curves in the road. There are seasons of silence. There are moments when the spotlight turns off, not because you failed, but because you're being repositioned. That thing that fell apart, it had to. That person that walked away, they needed to. That deal that didn't close. It wasn't aligned. You think it was random, but it was surgical. It wasn't punishment, it was protection. It was preservation for what's next. Because there's some places you're going that require clean hands and clear vision. And if that setback hadn't hit you when it did, you might have dragged some dead weight into your destiny. So stop crying over what left, stop mourning what didn't last, stop resenting the fall, because here's what you don't see yet. What feels like a step backward is actually leverage. It's giving you perspective, it's strengthening your roots, it's purifying your motives, it's humbling your ego. And when the time is right, it's going to catapult you further than you ever imagined. You don't rise by skipping setbacks, you rise by learning from them. You rise by letting them stretch you instead of shrink you. Don't confuse temporary pain with permanent failure. That season of lack, it's not forever. That dry place, it's not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. And chapters change, but what makes the difference is what you choose to do in the setback. Do you collapse? Do you shut down? Do you blame God and quit the assignment? Or do you square your shoulders, wipe your tears, and say, okay, I didn't see this coming, but I'm not done yet? Because that's where transformation lives, not in the mountaintop, but in the bounce back, in the decision to rise again when you have every excuse to stay down. You've got to believe that even in the darkest valley, there's a setup unfolding. You've got to trust that God wastes nothing. Not one tear, not one detour, not one closed door. Sometimes the fall is the very thing that exposes your real strength. Sometimes the delay is the thing that forces you to develop discipline. Sometimes the no is what keeps you from saying yes to something that would have destroyed your peace. So no, this isn't a curse, this isn't failure, this isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of a better chapter, one you couldn't have written on your own. One that only makes sense looking back, but demands your faith moving forward. This is not the moment to doubt your calling. This is not the time to lose your grip. This is the time to dig deep, reset, refocus, and remember that the greatest setups often look like setbacks at first glance. So stop calling this season a loss. Stop labeling this chapter a failure, because what looks like it went wrong, this is not failure. This is preparation.